So I want to play that sound real quick of Steph Curry on the Gilbert Arenas podcast discussing who is the best point guard of all time.
Are you the best point guard ever?
Yes. Yes. It's me and Magic. That's the conversation.
Yeah. Because as we can look at stats all day, right? We can look at stats and try to judge. I wasn't around with Magic.
Me either.
I know, right? So
I have so much respect.
I know there's not a lot of 6'9" point guard. No one's trying to. I'm thinking about the 90s growing up. There was nobody trying to be a 6'9" point guard, right? I mean, it just. But I can witness and watch every kid trying to be Curry.
Steph Curry has to be the only guy who'll run through the finish line, break through the tape, and then just kind of run backwards. And say, let me back this up a little bit, because he started off by saying I'm the greatest. It's like, yeah, me and Magic. Yeah, that's the conversation, and then he just backs up off all of it, right?
Yeah.
How do you view these conversations historically? Because, you look at a depth chart, he's listed as point guard, but positions in basketball have evolved so much over time that if someone wanted to argue, LeBron James is actually the best point guard of all time because he initiates all the offense, and he'll then defend the best player on the opposing team. And he has been listed as a point guard prior to in his career. How do you view these conversations?
I think despite the evolution and all that stuff, they still shake out pretty much. Like LeBron initiates offense, but a lot of times he's on the wing and someone else initiates and then he gets it, and then a bunch of other stuff happens. So I think most people are very comfortable saying he's a small forward, just like we're very comfortable saying that Michael Jordan was a 2 and Tim Duncan was a center despite playing power forward for stretches of his career. Ultimately, I think, honestly, these conversations are all kind of ridiculous. They're just all they do is exist to allow us and Gilbert and everyone else to have these conversations and talk about it and fill time.
So when they go, as I continue to fill time, when they say that a 6'9" guard, you can't mimic a 6'9" guard, you can't be that tall, but wasn't the appeal of Magic just the fast break and run? Because before that, 70s, there weren't a lot of fast break basketball. It wasn't the highlight of basketball as it was with Showtime.
They played up tempo. They played a lot more up tempo, and they seeded a lot of the play calling because 70s. Here's the thing: 70s NBA prior to the merger with the ABA and NBA was incredibly every play is scripted and very regimented. And that's why I always say if you watch basketball in 1974, NBA and ABA, and I ask you which one looks more closely like what we see today, you'd point to ABA every time. It has a three-point line. It's a blend of scripted and improvisational. It's athleticism. It's up and down and all that stuff. And meanwhile, the NBA was set plays and guys are playing very kind of strict version of basketball. But obviously, the influx of the ABA guys started to make the tempo go up higher and higher, and then you get to the 80s and Magic and Bird, they open the doors. But again, it's crazy to me that you say, hey, man, there's only been one of this kind of guy. See, how great could he be? Isn't that the very definition of greatness, where it's no one could even try to be like me?
Yeah, I don't think of what makes Steph Curry greater is because I can shoot a three. No, I mean, he does it greater than anybody that's ever done it, but I am almost probably more impressed with what Kevin Durant does at his size because it seems like nobody else can do that.
Magic played 12 years in the league. He went to the finals 9
times.
But
That's crazy.
But here's he went 9 times in 12 years. Okay. But also that means we're counting his second year when he only played 30-some-odd games because he had that injury that we see in winning time that he's trying to recover from. Also, we're counting the last year when he came back off of HIV-positive land to come and spur the Lakers to get to the playoffs in about 30 games or so.
Spoiler alert.
So really, you take out the 2 seasons where he played 30-some-odd games, he went to the finals 9 out of 10 times. And then that 10th time, they lost in the conference finals. Dude, there's it's one of those things where it's insane that anyone would make this comparison. I'm not even saying Magic is a better point guard, as in doing the duties of a point guard better than Steph. I'm saying Magic's a better player.
So we measured the results then? Or because, I mean...
Any metric you use. 3-time MVP. 3-time finals MVP, right? All-star MVP. All-NBA, first team 8 times, right? Again, if we take out the 2 years where clearly he wasn't going to get it because he was hurt, 8 times out of 10 years he was first team All NBA. Unless you start saying, oh, but like the game different. This dude won Finals MVP as a 20-year-old.
Well, the place that people are going to go is, and this is unfair because it's not a one-on-one sport, but have him play one-on-one. Give Steph Curry the ball first, see if Magic ever gets the ball back. What do you think?
Give Magic the ball first, see if Steph ever gets it back.
Agreed.
So that's not a good enough kind of argument. I think when you talk about Magic Johnson, you're talking about a level of success and winning and excellence in the game that very few people, if any, can even approach.
What's Magic's go-to in the half court?
Hook shot.
Hook shot, yeah. The junior sky hook.
He hit enough of those? Or did he just hit some signature ones?
It was part of his offense. Okay. I mean, look at his field goal percentage. The guy was incredible.
I'm asking for memory, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning the greatness of Magic Johnson.
He was dominant. He was a dominant player, and people often point to the scoring. That's not what they needed him to do. He had a year where he averaged like 24 points a game. He could average 28. He could average 30 if he wanted. Now, this is in no way like I'm trying to dump on Steph. Steph's amazing. Like the year he won unanimous MVP, he led the league in scoring, shooting 50, 40, 90 from the field. 50, 40, 90. Now, here's the crazy part, right? I say he led the league in scoring. I was like, yeah. He shot 50, 40, 90. Like, wow, it's amazing, but he is a great player. Okay. He led the league in steals that year.
Really?
Nobody ever
Did
talks
not
about that.
remember
He led the league in steals per game.
When they asked the question, we all kind of conceded, well, there's only 2 people in that debate. Most people, when you ask who's the best point guard of all time, that's a consensus. It's those 2. Who's on the medal stand, like asking, hoping that they could be talked about in this discussion with Gilbert Arenas? And why is it Mario Chalmers?
Well, what's
I'll
Oscar
hang
Robertson?
up and listen.
Deli.
What's the big O?
Deli.
Is he like in the LeBron conversation where he's not a point guard, but he is a point guard?
I think then it gets really blurry, right? Like with those 2 guys, they are so great, it doesn't really matter, right? But then after that, then you start and also they both played in eras of incredible competitiveness, right? Like Magic played in the league when there was a bunch of teams that were stacked with Hall of Famers, right? Steph obviously playing in this era. Oscar, again, like I'm of the belief that, hey, when we talk about players, we're trying to compare players. If you played before the merger, we love you, we respect you. You and Jim Brown and everyone who played pre-AFL, NFL, you guys, we respect the hell out of you, but you sit over there. Because I can't gauge what they're doing versus like what's happening in the sport past that merger when the game changed as a result. So I leave Oscar out of it, and I go to you. Ask who else is on that medal stand?
Yeah, who else is on the medal stand?
Isaiah Thomas, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash.
There you go.
I was going to say Jason Kidd before Nash, huh?
I think.
I mean,
accolades.
Nash has as many MVPs as Steph Curry has.
I
Nash
know.
was amazing.
I know. And look, I owe everything to Steve. I think Jason being a better defensive player and obviously a bigger guard and rebounding made him a better player in a way that I think Steve obviously was a way better shooter. Steve, we used to say before Steph, like Steve's the best shooter.
Did you say Stockton?
I don't think Stockton is. I think Stockton's behind those guys.
Absolutely.
Great player. Great
Yeah,
player.
when you consider defensively too.
Great player, but I think he's behind those guys. I think like what Jason did for a team offense isn't quite as good as what Steve did for a team offense, but Jason also brought the defense.
Is there anything Chris Paul can do with the rest of his career to get into this
I
conversation?
don't think so. I think
6 championships straight.
even then I'd be like,
But yet, in terms of ability, in terms of basketball ability, because like people will put like Andre Iguodala will put Kyrie Irving maybe on the top of the list of the greatest ever, but Chris Paul, without some of the unlucky injuries, and maybe he's on the right, like he was on the path to be top 2 with Magic, was he not?
no, not top 2.
Really?
No, I don't think Chris Paul was on the path to be the greatest or second greatest point guard.
Ooh.
Like like to me, Chris was on the path of being with Jason, with Steve Nash, with
Starbury.
Steph was on that path, but then like it kind of fell apart.
I think he was revered to the point where, especially when he got to L.A., it was almost discussed as an inevitability that he would become maybe top 3. He had all the classic point guard, Chris Paul, all the classic point guard skills, such a floor general, like every element that you want from a point guard, except for maybe, the extra height.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like a lot of people, I'm pretty sure I remember reading a story that said he might be the greatest point guard of all time already, and that was like 6 years ago.
Do you think so? When Chris got to LA, what year was that? He was what year was he in the league? He was.
It just does also feel like with the guys like Chris Paul, there is a issue that he's going to have with Steph Curry being in the league at the same time. So like there's some baseball players who had this same sort of issue where Albert Pujols played a majority of the beginning of his career when Barry Bonds was doing all of the unbelievable things that took away from it.
2005.
Yeah. So that was.
I was watching a video of that, that chef that reacts to people doing dumb things. It's this guy.
Chef Reactions.
Yeah,
that's my guy. He was on Cinephobe.
He's watching someone make soup in a hotel bathroom.
Yeah.
It's in a sink. It's weird.
Yeah, Paul arrived in New Orleans in 2005, was there till 2011, and then moved to Los Angeles in 2011 and was in Los Angeles for 6 years.
I don't think anyone ever looked at Chris Paul as perhaps the best player in the league at any point of his career. And maybe that's what Jeremy's referring to is like, you're great, but you happen to play. Because, he led the league in assists 5 times. He led the league in steals 5 times.
He got in the league in 2005.
Yeah.
LeBron got in the league in 2003.
Yeah.
There's probably only one MVP to go around.
No, I get it.
Who's the best player ever to play at the wrong time?
Charles Barkley.
To play at the wrong time?
That sure
Yeah.
seems like an example being sandwiched between the beginning of LeBron and then the beginning of Steph right after that. That's not great for Chris Paul.
Barkley played at a pretty great time considering he couldn't shoot.
Yeah, I would say Tracy McGrady.
I would say Reggie Miller and Mitch Richmond.
Shoot from the outside, I mean.
Yeah.
He's
Lucy.
a pretty money mid-range player.
Lucy, we got 20 seconds. Do you have a top 5 point guards ever list?
No, but Chris
Wow.
Paul did go to my high school. And
What?
he would-
What?
Yeah, he would come
There's
back.
no
and-
basketball in Carolina.
Yeah, Wake Forest basketball. He would come back and he would do like a Q&A, and if you answered questions right about him, he'd give you money.
What?
That feels like a violation. I don't know
Yeah, it
if
definitely
what kids
was.
camps. I don't know what that is. There's no way that could be legal. Somebody investigate Chris Paul. Well, you're giving kids money. That's crazy.
So you guys see this Facebook post on the NBA?
I don't have Facebook.
Oh,
Are you still on
Tremendous.
Facebook?
I'm not.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I saw the post.
I used it for
Because-
Marketplace. You get real good stuff on there.
Yes,
Really?
you buying or selling?
Yeah, great question.
Lucy, are you so young that Facebook was never cool for you?
No, Facebook, I had unsupervised internet access as a kid.
What does
Which-
that mean?
My parents just let me use the internet. They never looked at what I was doing. They were just like, go ahead. I don't think we really knew what it was at the time, so I had a Facebook very early. Facebook was really big for me in middle
How old
school.
are your parents? Like 19?
There's no basketball where she
No,
lives.
they were a lot older.
Just Chris Paul.
They just didn't understand the internet, so they didn't realize there were bad things on it. But I was a really good kid, so I didn't really abuse the power.
Lucy told me off the air, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but whatever, or here, that
Hey, hi, Dan.
she has one of the greatest Etsy shops I've ever heard of.
It's not active right now, so I'm sorry I can't place any orders. But I do like to paint college football coaches onto purses.
Such a great gig.
That is
fire.
so bizarre.
Can I see an example?
Weird. Yeah, let me find a picture. I have a great Bobby
This is
Petrino
incredible.
bag.
The Bobby
I-
Petrino one is
is-
amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'll find it. It'll probably take a minute.
She's
or
got
two.
one
why-
of the Virginia Tech coach celebrating 0-0.
Yeah, I got
with
the
his
Frank
hands
Gamer
in the air.
0-0.
If I carried a purse, I would
You
buy
have
several.
Frank
Could you-
Beamer celebrating 0-0 on a purse?
Yeah, just like
Wait,
that.
on
Could
your-
you paint
Take
Hugh
my
Freeze
money.
in his hospital bed on a purse for me, please?
I tried to do Hugh Freeze. It's pretty tough, but I'll work on it.
I feel like you and Mina have a growing business,
Yeah,
budding
her
business
stuff
together.
is so good. I feel like I can't do
But
faces
she doesn't
well.
put it on a purse.
She
Yeah.
puts on an etch-a-sketch, right?
Yeah, which is way more impressive. And I'm not good at faces, so I don't really just don't give them faces.
But that's the best thing about your purses is you can tell exactly who it is without any sort of no eyes, no mouth, no
wow.
nose, nothing.
I found it.
You found it?
Yeah, I did.
Faster than me. Which one did you find?
I found Lucy painting stuff.
Oh yeah, that's it. But I don't think
What do we think about the name?
Yeah.
Okay, so this I
So
also have a Mike
talented.
Gundy one, but let me get my Bobby bag.
Mike
I think that's my
Gundy?
best
Is it
one.
the I'm 40?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's the weirdest hobby.
What about
It's still open. It says low stock, only one left.
Yeah, well,
No,
I'm
that means
not.
she has
Don't
to
even
make it,
try.
right?
Yeah, because I have to make it. I don't just like paint them and sell them.
Wait, so you're lying to people? There's not one left.
There's
you
not
just have
one
to make
left.
it.
There's a few bags that I have painted that I don't use, so I would sell those. But
They are low stock. There's
Yeah.
zero. The stock is zero, and there's one left, meaning that she's willing to make one more.
They all
it's
say
a
low
lot
stock.
of work.
They're rare. You feel
They
me?
are rare.
Who's on the one that you don't use?
My Lane Kiffin one,
Smart.
Really?
but that's not even on there.
Is it the sunburnt Lane Kiffin, or which
I have
one?
him holding a golf ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
very
a
talented,
really.
my sister.
Thank you. It's a super odd hobby. I don't know like how it started, but
This is a Michael Kors purse that presumably costs more than $100.
Yeah,
so
it
your
was a-
art is devaluing these
it was
purses.
it was a bag. It was
Billy,
hold
I'm
up.
just saying, based
Guillermo.
on math,
Unbelievable,
this purse
this
costs
guy.
more than $100. You
Hey,
draw
hold
it in
on,
and you sell it
hold
for
on,
less.
hold on.
Hang around Izzy too long.
Okay, you don't get one.
Is Michael Kors spelled
Yeah,
with
let
a
me
C?
find it.
That might explain it.
It was a bag that I didn't use.
It turned blue
and
when it gets cold.
that's hurtful. You're not getting a purse.
I didn't mean it that way, but I'm trying to figure out the math. This business isn't working out for you if you're paying more for the purses.
I'm not. I used to go to Goodwill, but Goodwill's purses are so expensive now that it's cheaper
That
for me to
doesn't
go
make
to
any
like.
sense.
I know. It pisses me off where I'm like going to Goodwill trying to find a bag to paint. It's like $15. I'm not
about
spending
it.
that.
Talk about
Can I tell you guys how to save money? I love to save money. It's one of my favorite things.
I've already
Please.
turned to you for the copay scams.
Okay, I got one.
Copay scam.
Yeah, he always informs me on what's a copay scam
Let me
and when I
just-
don't need to go to a doctor.
Okay. You might be careful with that term copay scams after Terrence Williams just got 10 years for some insurance fraud stuff. So
Transition.
Guys, if you download the Chevron app, you get $1 off for a gallon for your next 3 pumps. My light was on. I saved $17 on gas yesterday. It actually worked. I couldn't believe that it actually worked.
I'm on it.
That's all.
They don't do anything else. They don't require you to do anything else.
You just
You're
sign
not-
up. I mean,
You're not
look.
subscribed to something that you don't know about.
Am I allowed to say I'm an app whore? I've become an app whore where I'll download a bunch of apps if it's going to save me money. I'll just have them on my phone and I'll use them as long as I can get, the benefits, and then I'll just move on to the next app.
I don't think that's how whoring works.
Is it? I don't know.
That level of clutter on my phone, I think, would be the issue for me, though. The
Yeah.
idea of just having all of these
Your
random
app
apps that I know I
John.
don't use.
It used to, but now I've just gotten to the point where you just like go down and you start typing it into the search, and
That's
I don't
fair.
even
That's
care
fair.
what the pages look like anymore. I don't care, except and we talked about this before. Except the Twitter thing still throws me off because I go down and I start typing Twitter, and then
It still comes up.
It doesn't. I have to type X for
Really?
it to come up.
Don't
Yeah.
do you remember all the names of the apps? Because some apps have like weird names.
It's usually like for a store, for a place that I'm going is what if I'm looking for the app, or like if I'm gonna drive somewhere, I know the name of
Like the
app I'm
McDonald's
using.
app, 'cause you
Yeah,
go to
I mean,
McDonald's,
I
I
don't
know.
use like 80%. You know me and McDonald's. I don't use like 80% of the apps on my phone. Probably.
Me too.
You're not an app whore. You're an app John. Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's what I was getting to. Yeah.
I'm not trying to. I
don't
can't
know
save
what
you
that
as
means.
much money as Billy, but sometimes if you just like
Consumer.
hit the cancel, like on my New York Times cooking subscription, if you hit cancel, they'll just offer it to you at half price, and you just hit cancel one more time, they'll offer you even cheaper.
Really?
And then you take it.
That's a key money saving technique right there.
Save me $3 a month. Not as
Except
much
I
as
don't
it
have
took
any
Billy.
apps that I pay for, so
New York Times cooking. You should get on it. It's good.
yeah, it's all right.
Did you start this segment by wanting to talk about something? I mean,
I did. So the NBA had this social media person who quit, but apparently still had the logins for the Facebook account. So he decides
I'm
to
listening.
write this post, and I think we can throw it up on the screen for the video audience. For the audio audience, I'll read it to you. How do I log out of this? Haven't worked here in weeks. Anyway, the NBA overextends its social media employees greatly to the detriment of their health and social lives for a salary less than $50K annually after taxes. I worked 14-hour shifts without breaks at times.
I see
What's
which
the
way he's
tone?
going with this.
What?
I know what his
Shout out-
opinion's going
shout
to
out
be.
Yeah,
Adam.
that voice is not the voice
leading
that
voice.
either.
Not
I'm
how
just
this
reading.
was written.
I'm
That's
just
not how this
reading.
was written. No.
I'm just reading. Shout out Adam Silver. We don't get health insurance
Wrong.
until 90 days on the
Wrong
job.
tone.
That's silly, isn't it? Glad I resigned. No need for a job to get in the way of your happiness. Donate to mental health causes. Peace out emoji.
And it seems like you have a
feel
negative feeling.
yeah.
It would seem that way.
Look, reading that, I understand completely where they're coming from. Salute to Metal Art Media. But wow, that's interesting.
That's some interesting stuff right
That's some
there.
interesting literature I just read on that screen.
$50K
Juju's
annually
new
after
Bible.
taxes, Juju. Just take note.
Juju, so how long did you work for the NBA?
You finally logged out, huh?
Do you
I'm a
guys
credentialed member.
do you guys remember that Rockets person that like had they
Yeah.
got fired for doing
For the
something
gun,
that was like dumb?
the gun emoji.
We hired them for a weekend.
That's what I was just getting at because we didn't change the password for a very long time after that, and that Rockets employee could have done something like that and could have done whatever they wanted on
He had
social media.
the gun emoji and the horse emoji because they just beat the Mavericks, and because of that uproar, you guys know this. Apple changed the gun emoji. It used to
To
be
the
an
water
actual
gun?
gun, and now it's like it's green
It's
water.
'cause of
pistol.
that?
That's why they changed
I don't think
it?
it was because of that.
That was the big high profile event that made
I'm
me
also fairly sure that if you search gun on your emojis, the water gun doesn't show up.
Really?
really.
You have to search
Thank
water.
God I'm right. Because
You
I,
no, I've had the same experience. I think you have to search water for it to
What
come
are
up
you
because
guys
they don't want you to
tweeting?
search.
You guys are
Texting gun things
Right,
to
why
each
would
other
we-
for
It
what's
comes
happening
up.
over here.
So does the arm muscle.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
That's been
Gun.
updated. That's
Sun's
been
out, guns
updated. I
out.
swear there was a time. Jeremy confirmed it with a nod. There was a time that you typed in gun and the water gun would not come up.
Huh.
At
Jeremy
least on
is
my
n-
phone.
There was a time.
$5 reading the internet wrong.
Yeah, Jeremy has never ever denied anything. So everything
Yeah.
you say,
It does come
he'll
up
say
if you
yes
type
to.
gun.
He is the
Yes,
yes,
and.
and man.
Yes, and-
Yeah.
Look, Jeremy look fantastic in his shirt too. By the way, that's the elephant in
Yes,
the room
I
that
do.
y'all don't want to address. My boy look
Mm-hmm.
fresh right now.
I feel incredible. My
gotta-
confidence is
You know
at
why,
a sky
Jared?
high.
You know why he says yes to everything? He doesn't like to rock the boat. It's an Aaliyah joke. He has an
It's an
Aaliyah
Aaliyah
shirt.
joke.
Remember
Oh.
from earlier?
That's not an
Where's the
Aaliyah shirt
funny
though.
thing?
I gotta go buy
No,
some new
that's-
shoes.
Hold on.
I finally saw these purses that you guys were talking about. We have images of
Oh, yeah?
these Lucy.
Look at that.
It's my beamer bag. How cool
I
is
need
that?
that.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Please don't reach
so
out. I'm not
fire.
gonna make any more for a while.
Huh?
Flood her
They
inbox.
take forever.
Yeah, but you could sell. Well,
The ACC network logo on there
Yeah.
too.
you could
Well
sell so
done.
many of those.
I like the Bobby bag better if we have that one.
Bobby Bowden or Bobby,
Bobby
Petrino?
Petrino
Oh,
and the
with
net
Being
brace.
told we'll
brace?
have it in
Oh.
a second.
Oh,
Just
man.
make
But
one
this is
of
my
them and-
beamer bag.
My favorite is end regulation.
I would, if I were you, I would reopen this store.
Yeah,
It
you
just
don't
takes
know.
like
so
you could retire.
long.
This is
you
what you
could
do, Lucy.
So
retire.
You
long.
paint one or two and then have those shipped off and duplicated, and now you got a whole merch
No,
line.
I don't want it like that.
Okay.
Because I like work. I appreciate the idea, but I like work really hard, and it's the fact that it's hand painted.
Yeah.
What is this? Are you one of these people that if someone tries to buy your meal in line in front of you, you're gonna say no? I waited too long in this line.
No, I just.
and it's not fair to the
no,
other people.
It's because it takes me like 15 hours,
Right.
like to paint a purse like that.
So what he's saying is you do one and then you duplicate
I
it
don't
and
wanna-
not
that makes it less
She's an
special.
artiste.
Yeah.
special.
She's-
That's less special.
Special.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Speaking of special, I really hope we have this Bobby Petrino
Oh,
back there.
wow.
It is.
That's my Bobby bag.
Lucy, you need to reopen
Please
this
come
store.
Open this
You
store
will make
for real.
so much
It
money.
doesn't matter how dirty his face gets. It's always going to be appropriate.
Yeah.
Tweet the show. Bring back Lucy.
Yeah. Bring back Lucy. Send us your
Hashtag
They
bring
take
back Lucy.
so long.
You can do it.
Oh man, I'm telling you, we could make so much money.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about in the
Are we even
M&Ms.
allowed to do that? Like, because
There's
I
no
don't.
rules.
Yeah, I mean, I paint it, so it's. I guess it's my image now.
Yes, you can.
They don't
and
have
you shall.
faces, and they,
They don't
have
have
faces
faces.
in the real
so,
one.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
good.
you don't
And that
know.
doesn't say Arkansas. That
No
says
logo.
Arca and Sauce.
Yeah,
Right.
different.
Arca and sauce.
But yeah, that's my hobby.
So I'm the same way with homeless folks. Okay, I'm sorry. What are we supposed to? What's the wording
Unhoused.
there? Unhoused folks. Which is look, I've got
$10
to.
more
Nope. I've got to take on that down the road. We'll get to that later.
boy.
But when the unhoused are folk are sort of propped up outside of the supermarket, and I'm walking in and I get the request for some money, and regardless, my answer is yeah, just a second. As soon as I get outside, I have no idea if I have any money on me or anything. And so when I get inside, I have to check, and I'm like, I've got no cash. What am I going to do? And I end up doing the cash back thing and getting some change and being 1,000% responsible. There's the 5% of the time where I walk outside and like, relocated. Thank goodness I get to keep this little five ski right here. But I'm so
Get to
guilty.
keep it.
Yeah. But
I was when he said I do the same thing. I thought he was gonna say that he told them like I gotta go home and do my own research and then I'll get back. to
Can
you.
I
It's just
tell you
like,
the
geez
craziest thing I've
Louise.
ever done for an unhoused person? One time I was leaving a Heat game, and I didn't go for work, so I parked in a regular lot, and I'm leaving, and this just happens to be a day where I left my wallet at home with my ID and everything. And so I'm leaving the lot and I'm making a right turn onto a one-way street, and somebody on a bicycle comes the wrong way down the one-way street as I'm not looking that direction and hits the front of my car, and then his tire is damaged. And then, of course, it's I hit a bicyclist.
No,
in
you
my
hit,
mind.
you hit someone with your car.
What
No,
is
hold on.
I
happening?
think it's my
accountability.
Vehicular.
You hit someone with your car.
Someone who's
Someone
going
on a
the
bike
wrong-
hit
going
my
the wrong
car
way.
going the wrong way on a
Yeah.
one-way street, on a
I'm with-
vehicle.
I'm with
All
you.
right.
I'm
People
with
on
you.
bikes don't abide the laws.
But
just so
here's
you
what I
know.
did. So let's just say, and then he's complaining. He's like, man, it's not even my bike. It's my friend's bike. He lent it to me. There's no chance in heck I'm going to be able to give it back in this condition because the tire was bent. Okay.
Hold on a
And so,
second.
and of course, I said, oh no, I don't have my wallet here. I don't have my ID. If this gentleman calls a cop over, I'm not going to have my license. It's going to be a disaster. I'm like, what do you think it's going to cost to fix that tire? And he's like, at least $100. I was like, I'll give you 40. And he goes, all right. And I'm like, but it's at my house.
Oh.
I need you to hop in the car.
Oh
No, you didn't.
No.
I like this.
Because he's threatening to call the police. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I hit a cyclist. Like you guys are saying,
Well,
not, I went the
I
wrong
get
way.
why you're
you.
panicking.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, whew, get on in, buddy. And so he gets in the car and he smells bad. And so I have to, windows all the way down. I'm kind of driving with my head like out of the car like this and my eyes half on him and half on the road, just making sure everything's okay. I get to my apartment in North Miami and I can't I don't know why, guilty conscious, I can't leave him outside in my locked car. And so I just leave him in the car, take my keys, run upstairs, grab some money, come back downstairs. He's still in the car. I looked around the car. Nothing seems to be missing. Boom. Slowly drive back to the arena. The whole way back, I'm like, you were going the wrong way down one-way street.
boy.
I didn't have to do this, just so you know. And he's like, yeah, it's all right, man. I just want to get my friend's bike fixed. And I was like, okay, great. And so we drove all the way back, dropped the gentleman off. No incident, no issue. Took his $40, took his broken bicycle, kept
The
going.
dude
The
showed-
look on Lucy's face is hilarious.
The dude showed up to the camp like, hey, we smoking tonight.
Oh boy.
I would get murdered if I did that.
Yeah.
I would not recommend you do that. No, I would say what had me fairly confident is, he didn't weigh a lot, and he was probably 1 or 2 inches shorter than me. So I was like, if anything got into a physical confrontation, I can hang.
So you
I
hit
got
someone with your car,
Nope,
and then
nope,
you were
I
figuring
bite
out
someone
how
down
to
the road.
potentially
Hit me.
murder them if you had to.
This malnourished person.
Yeah.
Totally
I
unrelated.
did bring down a protein bar too. So there you go, brother.
This is totally unrelated. Izzy, can I borrow like $500?
Just crash into his
Just
car
crash
with your
into my
bike. Yeah.
car, just crash
And,
into my
and,
car.
and then I love the fact that I'm going to call the cops, man. And you're like, he might actually do it. Hold on.
There was so many cops around. He
I would
could have
like-
just done this, and I would have
call
gotten.
them. Call them. And by the way,
I'm more prepared for this next time it happens.
I thought I had the best story. Now you win, man. You got the guy. You drove him home and then drove him back.
Yeah, and this is this is right where we are, roughly right next to the arena. And at the time, I lived in North Miami, just off of 125th Street and Federal. So it's about a half an hour, 45-minute drive.
You took him back to exactly where you hit him with your car?
Yeah, the parking garage.
Why didn't you ask him where he was going? Because now he has a broken bike that he
Right,
can't
with a
ride
broke
to
wheel.
go where he's going. You give him $40, but he's got a broken
Billy,
bike.
Now, Billy, I might go out on a limb here, but I don't think he was actually going anywhere. Nor did he actually have a friend who owned the bike.
I think that wheel was
I
broke
think
before
we're
he
making
hit
some
you.
assumptions.
It's
You
all
know, it's
hearsay.
crazy. I have not even thought that far. I didn't even think that it wasn't his friend's bike. I just assumed, well, this guy doesn't have a house. He probably doesn't have a bike. He had to borrow it from his friend.
But he has a friend.
No. Come on.
It's funny. When I first left ESPN, I came down here to do this is January of 2021. Came down here to do the show, and I'm walking from my hotel to the studio, and guy, panhandling, he stops me and he says, "Hey, you can spare some change?" And I said, "Oh, sorry, man, I don't have any spare change on me." And he looks up at me, he's like, "Hey, man, you're that dude from ESPN." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, thanks, but yeah, I'm not on there anymore." And he said,
Oh,
That you
my
decided to
God.
update this man on your
this.
career.
Well, watch
That-
this.
This is
Watch this.
incredible.
Because I never talked to anyone. I used to just keep it moving. But the fact that he recognized me, threw me off. I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it, but I'm not there anymore." And he's like, "Why not?" I said, well, it's this whole thing, Dan left, and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I explaining this in creatively descriptive detail? Like, I was the dynamics of like employment at ESPN, things just changed a lot. And
some of the best feelings I've ever had. I was thinking about this today because there's 3 feelings, or 2 were very similar. And it was one time, and I don't know why. One time I was leaving an exit ramp on a highway, and somebody's asking for change. And I roll down my window, give a little bit, and it's just like, do you work at the Salvation Army? And you look crazy familiar, and that one just made me really happy. But the one that made me super happy, I was leaving a McDonald's, and I was walking to my car, and somebody asked me.
He looked at Billy, because when one talks about McDonald's, one always looks at me.
Ronald McDonald and then me.
And so he asked me for some money. I was like, I don't think I have any cash on me. I'm sorry, man. And he goes, no problem. And he just looks at me. He goes, why do you have such a famous-looking face? Didn't say like I'm from something, just like I had a face, as if I was some sort of like Hollywood, star. And I was just like, you know what, sir? Hang on one second. I went in my car, I like dug all. I was like, there's a $10 bill for you, man. That was a great compliment.
Let me tell you something.
Boom.
My number one pet peeve, by far, is when people say to me like, oh, I know you from somewhere. Like, did you used to work at the GNC? Like, you know who the hell I am. Just say, hey.
Wow.
You know who the hell I am.
What is happening in that room?
Okay, so
know
if people
who the
compliment
hell
you,
I
you give
am.
them money, and you need people who are like begging for money.
No.
They don't have to compliment me. They can
to
hit me with their car. with their
Identify
bike.
you.
I'm not talking about, look, the
Say you know me and you'll get this money.
The homeless guy that threw me off. I didn't like, I was legit like, oh wow, how'd you know?
Unhoused.
Because I'm like, where's he watching? Like, how does he even know, right?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have a house. Like, well, how's he gonna watch ESPN? He's got cable. He doesn't even have a house, right? So, but like when you talk about like regular people, like people,
Well,
I'm at a bar.
Oh my goodness.
No.
We are. This is a.
When I'm at a bar, and someone's like, "Hey, man, like, where do I know you from? You go to high school? You went to Bel Air?" I'm like, "No, man.
No,
like,
no.
You
I'll
know
tell
who I
you.
am, man."
Hold up,
tell
before
you
you
the-
get to that,
Go for
Israel, I used to be unhoused, and I was in this exact position a long time. I had to look at brothers and sisters like yourself and be like, hey, excuse me, big bro. Oh, so sorry. So that feeling of doing it, I want to salute all my unhoused brothers that are
Hell yeah.
listening and on their way to come back, because I discovered this show unhoused. I was sleeping outside behind Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles in Atlanta, and I had my cell phone. I was like, ESPN got an app. Who is this? And that's where I first saw Greg Cody, and it stuck. You feel me? So salute to my unhoused brothers and sisters out there. Keep your head up. Trouble don't last always.
Don't
I'm
you
sure
feel
you
like
would
an
have
asshole? I mean,
I'm sure you would have appreciated a ride somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Huh.
But here's the absolute
And a
best
ride
feeling.
back.
I mean, the best feeling for those who kind of
$40.
such a sucker. The best feeling when people kind of recognize you or they don't. I was at this Barbie party recently, a pool party, and I did not know anybody there.
Was Barbie there?
No.
Okay.
I did not know anybody there. And so this one guy comes up, and man, I'm telling you, it's the greatest feeling in the world. It's not the first time it's happened.
Was it Ken?
One guy comes up, and everybody was dressed as a Ken, and he goes, "Work out at Powerhouse?" Oh my God. What a feeling. They think you look familiar, and they're like, oh, the only place that I must know you from is the gym. And I'm like,
do you not understand
"Thank
what's
you, my
happening?
man." No, he did not know who I was.
They're trying to be modest.
I
Like, they
mean-
want to, like, oh, I'm not trying to be
I
all
mean-
up on you. And like, that's what they're doing.
All due respect, I asked around. I asked everybody around, hey, who's this guy? Is he a sports guy? He was like, he has no idea who you were. He asked me later. He was like, why does this guy look familiar? And it's just because the screens on the TV happened to be on, but he had no idea who I was. It wasn't until other people started recognizing me that he said something.
Do you work at a Powerhouse?
I do not work at a Powerhouse. I had no idea what a Powerhouse was.
Is it possible this person was just hitting on you?
No.
Again, Izzy goes to like the weirdest like conclusions on all of these things.
Weirdest conclusions.
It's
It's
like,
the
oh,
greatest
this
conclusion.
has
He
to
sees
be-
somebody that's in decent shape, looks familiar. Hey, I must see you from where I'm at all the time. It's
You
a
want to know the
compliment.
opposite
I'm just
feeling
taking
of
it.
this? You want to know the opposite feeling? I have a face where people think they know me,
Oh, yeah.
and they do not know me worth a damn. They just come up to me with the, oh, never mind.
Oh, it's not
never
even
mind.
that. Juju,
My heart is torn out of my chest every time.
you're bugging because that's your greatest superpower. It allows you to go places, zero credentials, zero like All-Star Weekend. Me and Juju, we went into some party. I can't remember where it was, and it's like all the Gen Pop going this way, and then they have the VIP glass room here. And Juju just decides to make a left, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just following him. nobody asks you anything because you always look like you belong.
Super Bowl, he was
Touche.
friends with everyone. Shady McCoy said, like, or no, LeGarrette Blount was like, I'll call you later. We're going to hang out later. And he's like, he's never met me before. He doesn't have my number.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Famous people think he's famous.
Exactly. That's
Is there somebody, Juju, that you think that they think that you are?
Absolutely not. They
Right?
just think that I belong, and I just act like I do.
I'm the
He
opposite.
doesn't look like anyone.
Yeah.
He just looks like, oh, I should know him. Like, people see Juju and say, oh, clearly I have to
He
know
doesn't
who
look
he is.
like anyone, but he looks like someone.
Look, if people think you belong and you get in, you belong.
Got like a famous face.
I think it's my fur headbands that I wear around, which nobody makes fun of. I'm still waiting. But these fur headbands are ridiculous, Jeremy. That would have been a great comeback.
I
when was
have
on your
nothing.
jacket.
I don't know how to make fun of you. You're much cooler than I am, and I don't know how to make fun of
When
people.
you've made fun of my shoes, I just look at my shoes and I say, damn it, why did I wear you?
No, those shoes are whack. Those shoes are trash. You should burn them bitches on live on air, like LeBron
amazing.
jersey. Can we say the B word?
So
I don't know.
comfortable. I used to have friends that would
not the
sneak
worst
into
thing we've
Heat
said this
games
segment.
and would get anywhere they wanted to. Take pictures with Charles Barkley, Steve Smith, Dan Marley, all these players. They let me join in on the thing one time. I get onto the floor. They get through to the locker room. The one person gets stopped. Me.